Hello and welcome to another Divinity short. Today we're going to be talking about a topic about the SPL, of course. And it is CLG announcing their Smite roster and obviously also the announcement that the org itself would be participating in the Smite Pro League in Season 5. And yeah, the roster announced is going to be FineOK, Homie Effie, Hurrywin, Chicks, and Snoopy. So it's basically a roster that's been theorized about before, right? I don't know if you've seen any of the leaks that kind of came out.
No, I haven't seen anything of it yet. I did want to point out that I predicted this exact roster right after, 3 or 4 weeks ago that the last NA Smiter team was announced, or their last team to announce the roster was like 4 weeks ago, and then I predicted this exact roster at the time. Yeah. So.
Yeah, then as time went on, right? As time went on, I think a lot of other people started to predict something similar to this, and there was a video of CLG from their League of Legends team, right? Because that's their big main brand, where you actually saw some of the players that are in this roster now being present in the audience of a League of Legends match. So people were already thinking that this was going to be the roster that we were going to see, and it's turned out to be true.
See, I don't watch League of Legends anything, so that's probably.
Yeah, I just saw that on the Smite subreddit, right?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see. Like I said, I don't watch anything League of Legends. The only thing I care about is Smite. But yeah, this was kind of a roster that makes sense, or makes the most sense if you think about it. I mean, look at everybody on the team and look, who's played with each other. So obviously, Jigs, Homie Faye, and FineOK have all played with each other on the old Soar Gaming roster at the beginning of last season. So they've had, they've played together. And then, of course, Homie Faye and Hurrywin played for the entirety of Season 3 together. Homie Faye, Hurrywin, and Jigs have played together in the past on the spring split of Season 3? And then Snoopy has played with basically everybody but FineOK that's on this roster. So a lot of familiarity between the 5 players on the roster. It'd be interesting to figure out who their coach is and see if maybe a recognizable name is their coach as well. But,
yeah, and I think even if you don't look at it from a sort of synergy perspective, right, and from players having previous experience playing with each other, this is still a roster that makes a lot of sense because they're all at the top of what is available still to be picked as far as an SPL roster is concerned, right? I mean, you look at FineOK, he has established himself as a good or decent solo laner, and this is most likely going to be a good or decent team, right? Homie Effie, one of the best junglers in NA, Hurrywin, one of the best mids in NA, Chicks, one of the best supports in NA, probably mechanically the best one. And Snoopy has the potential to definitely be one of the best hunters in NA. So this roster, even from that sort of perspective, makes a ton of sense, right?
Yeah, you make a perfect point. These are all top-level players in their role. I mean, even FineOK, who's only played for a season, has proven that, he may not be exactly on Benji's level at the top of the NA solo lane, but people like Divios and who was the other Cyclone Spin, he can certainly play with those guys. That tier 2, that next step down from Benji, right where FineOK is, and he's arguably at the top of that list of that tier 2 solo laners in North America. Homie Faye, we've had our issues with him in the past about him not performing on lands, but he did even though they didn't actually win the LAN, he played very well at Super Regionals this year. Harwin's been one of the best mid laners in the North America, whose name is not the best for a better part of 2 years now. And now that the best is back in the North America with whoever it is he's with.
Wasn't it the Splice team?
Yeah, he's with Splice, Divios and Splice, and yeah. Yeah, Best is back. Venenu is the world's MVP, but Herwin's still, still been at the top of North American mids for about the better part of 2 years now. Baskin's in that group as well. Jigs is easily top 3 supports in North America. I don't know where you would place him in the top 3, but he arguably is the best mechanical support in North America. And Snoopy's resume speaks for himself. It's it's Snoopy, of course.
Yeah.
Been in the league for the longest time, and as far as hunters in North America go, you have all 3 major recognizable names, and Zapman, Snoopy, and Barracuda still in the league. So
Yeah, and I definitely think, right, when you take into consideration the synergy that they have, that this is a roster that could do a ton of work, right? Because once you combine that raw mechanical skill that they've proven to have in past rosters, right, and you combine it with the synergy that they should have from all the experience they have playing together, this could be something great to witness. And I'm kind of looking forward to it.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I think the catalyst about how far they're going to go is actually Snoopy. Um, Snoopy, like what I said, one of the best hunters to play the game, but he's not actually had a lot of success in the hunter role since the team solo mid has deformed or kind of went away. And we saw him return full time to the hunter role last season, but he wasn't really he didn't really live up to what he's known for in the past. And so Snoopy, I think he's the catalyst if he plays well from that hunter position, and especially in season 5 where hunters are important in their role, extremely important in their role late game, because you have a different kind of a meta to the game, and hunters, the items on hunters are stronger the later you go in season 5. So Snoopy's kind of the catalyst for me here, and if he plays well, I think this team's going to be very scary and possibly top of North America, and that's coming from a EU United man. So
yeah, yeah. I think Snoopy. I think whatever team you have where Snoopy is playing at the max of his potential is going to be a scary one, right? Just in general, and I think the main reason why he's going to be the catalyst is because you can expect consistency from all of the other guys, right? I think out of the other ones, the least consistent other member is probably Jigs, but Homie Effie is very consistent in the jungle as long as you're talking about online play, right? And Hurry is a consistent mid, and Fine, he's proven himself to be a consistent solo as well, right? So the guy who's played below his full potential in the last couple of years is really only Sloopy, and he's still amazing. And if he can find back to that form, then yeah, they could definitely be a team that could rival the likes of an EU United or the likes of the new Space Station roster, right? So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely easily right now top 3 in North America if everything works out and they're all playing at a top level. Yeah, definitely. I'd see a little bit of competition between them and EU United, especially if Snoopy can get the better Panda Cat in their matchups. But this is easily, for me, top 2 in a roster right now, and that's, yes, Space Station has 3 of the 5 Cloud9 members of Season 2, and it's exciting to see that roster together again. I just think this roster here has a ton of potential and possibly a bigger upside than that Space Station gaming roster.
Yeah, I think when you consider that a guy like Final K is still a young player, right, and the fact that Snoopy, as we said, has been playing under his top level for years now, if they both manage to improve again, then yeah, this is a team that can have more upsides than the Space Station roster, because the Space Station guys, they've kind of settled in right now, right? Except Aquarius. Aquarius is still someone who could improve massively. But yeah, I think that's what the big difference is, right? You have basically 4 consistent players on Space Station, and you have 3 of them, or you have also 4 of them, but the guy who's inconsistent is in a role where he can be more explosive on the match, right? Where he can be more explosive and have more of an impact in carrying games.
Yeah, more impactful. I think, not to put Aquarius down, but he has, out of that Space Station gaming roster, he still has the most to prove in his role. And, Anister going back in the jungle, it might take a week or 2 for him to get back into that groove of being a jungle in a professional match. I mean, I'm sure he's practicing right now in ranked, but ranked and competitive is 2 completely different things. And seeing Anister get back into a competitive match where he's playing the jungle, it might take him a week or 2 to get back to that best jungler in North America role that we're all familiar with Anister being in. But again, you're saying 4 consistent players for the Space Station, and then 4 consistent players for this Counter Logic gaming roster. You're right. Snoopy being the hunter, being, with Season 5, how it's at least shaping up in my eyes, where hunters are incredibly powerful late game. He has more of a chance to impact the game than Aquarius does. But that's not to put Aquarius down. He played incredible at the end of last season.
Yeah, he's really been one of those standout players again, right? Where since coming into the SPL, he's also improved massively, and he's looked a lot better in his later splits and towards the end of his later splits than he did at the start. And yeah, I'm excited for both rosters. I'm excited to see what this CLG roster can do, as I said. And now, since we've already talked a bit about power rankings, I guess we can transition to that, because that's another topic that we're going to have to do today. Because obviously the SPL is starting in just a couple of days. Is it starting next Tuesday already?
Starting this coming Tuesday, yes sir.
Yeah, so tune in there once it's live to watch the SPL on Mixer this time around. And yeah,
I don't think it's exclusively on Mixer. I think if you want like prizes and stuff like you used to from Twitch, you have to watch it on Mixer. But YouTube, at least YouTube has streamed some of the global series as well. So the SPL might actually be simultaneously casted on YouTube. But to get prizes, you would have to watch it on Mixer. Get prizes, chests, like gems and stuff.
Yeah, well, they didn't announce exclusivity for the global series, right? They only announced it for the SPL. So I think there's still a good chance that it will be exclusively on Mixer. But we'll have to see, right? And even if it is on Mixer, I think, honestly, I'm not shilling or anything, right? But I'm probably going to watch it there just because I want to test that feature that they've announced, right, with the multiple cameras. Because I'm not sure if you've seen the tweets or seen basically everyone tweeting about it, how you were able to vote for who would get the POV camera in each of the matches.
Yeah, I've seen some tweets about that already. A lot of the hunters want them to be like, watch the hunters, but some of the mids are like, don't watch me, watch the junglers.
Yeah.
Well, that was funny.
Yeah, but I want to really test that out once we get the chance to, and obviously the first chance we're gonna get is on Tuesday, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. And yeah,
I'm gonna be working during the SPL on Tuesday, so
that sucks. Well, anyway, moving on to the power rankings that we want to do. So I'm just gonna ask you, how do you want to do them, and what's your power ranking looking like?
Well, do you want to just do EU first, since they're all 6 rosters have been announced?
Yeah, sure. We can do EU first. And I think we should go from bottom to top, right?
Yeah, and let's to make it a little bit quicker than we have in the past. Let's do 6, 5, and then 4, and then you tell me your 6, 5, and 4, and then we'll both do 3, 2, 1. We'll do 3 teams at a time instead of splitting them up one by one.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with my 6, 5, and 4. In 6th place, I'm gonna have to put Mouse Sports. In 5th place, I'm going to have SK Gaming. And then in 4th place, I'm gonna have Energy. Just because they will have to adapt to Emilsi coming in.
Well, for the first time in a year, we actually agree on something for power rankings. I had Mouse Sports as well in 6th place. I think Big Man Tings is going to have to show something in the mid before we place them any higher. I like the SK Gaming roster. Again, the question mark I have there is Badge's attitude improved over the last year and a half. So that'll be interesting. And then again, energy adapting to energy adapting. That's a good one. Energy playing with Emilsi and Emilsi having to get used to a new roster and losing Raffer in that support role. I think is going to take a little bit of time to get used to. So I would put Energy fourth as well.
Yeah, like I've said a great many times, right? I think this Energy roster can be better than 4th place, but I think it's going to take time for Emilsi to come in and change things around how the team works and to settle into his role within the team, and for the rest of the team to settle into their roles around him, right? And once they've done that, they can definitely be one of the best rosters in EU again, because they have the mechanical talent, and I think Emilsi's going to be able to change the way they play to make them a bit more effective than they maybe have been in the last year as well. So yeah, that's just temporary for me right now. I think I want to put a bit of an emphasis on that. I think Energy's not going to stay in 4th place of EU for the entirety of the split, or even for the entirety of the season even, right?
Yeah, that is something we should probably clear up. Energy should be a lot better towards the end of the split than they are at the beginning of the split. Historically, they do get off to a slow start, even if it wasn't a new member on the roster. So a slow start, with the fact that it's a new support, I think is going to cause them to struggle a little bit early. But once they work all the kinks out, I think, they should be definitely in that top 3 of Europe by the end of the split, if not the beginning of the fall split.
Yeah, and as far as the other teams are concerned, like you said, Mouse Sports, the big question mark is Big Man Tings and how he's going to be playing in mid, even though he can play Shankui, of course. And the other question mark for SK Gaming is going to be Batcha. And it's also going to be whether this team can actually get to a level where they're going to be better than a 5th place EU team, right? Because that's kind of the position they've been stuck on for basically a year now as well.
Well, it's Badge's attitude and Lobster's ability to play the game again. He's all throughout the entirety of season 4, he struggled, and we kind of called him out on it at the towards the build up for Super Regionals, that he wasn't playing well at all for the entire season 4. So if Badge's attitude has improved and Lobster can actually start playing well in mid again, I think this team can definitely get into the top 3. I like their roster. I just don't know if those two asterisks have to actually prove out to be actual not concerns and actual strengths for the team.
Yeah, and I think that's what's weird about this team, and it has been weird about this team for since the last season, right? They have looked like a team that on paper should be at top 3 or at least top 4, but they've not done it. And we're going to have to see how that changes going into Season 5 now. And yeah, so as far as the other rosters are concerned, right, the top 3 that we have, the ones that we have left are Obey, Rival, and Dignitas in the case of both of us. So I'm just going to let you start. So tell me, how would you order them? Which order would you put them into?
Basically, what you just said, Obey at 3rd, Dignitas, or Rival at 2, and Dignitas at 1. I think Obey's in the same boat as Energy is, with the new support coming in and having to get all the kinks worked out. I just think the support on Obey is not a big role. Raffer is a great support. I just don't think it's going to be as important to the guys on Obey than Emilzi's going to have on Energy. So the way Obey plays, the support's a lot less, of a point of emphasis for Obey. So I think at least for the start of the split, Obey should have the upper hand as far as that swap of supports go. Rival, finishing 2nd at Worlds, playing as well as they have in the past year now, and guys like Deathwalker and Vote MBK and Colossus, I think as long as that roster is still intact, I think they're going to be on top of EU, if not on top of the world. Dignitas, on the other hand, very disappointing into the season for their Season 4 hopes, but easily probably the best team in the throughout the entirety of Season 4, not just that last month and a half where E United and Rival kind of surpassed them.
Yeah, it's got to be between them or Obey, right?
Yeah, and for me, it's Dignitas, really, because Dignitas was in the finals at the Spring Masters, and then they won the finals at the Summer DreamHack. If it wasn't for the disappointing weekend at Super Regionals, I think they could have made it to Worlds and actually gave E United a good set at Worlds. I'd still like to see E United beat them, but that didn't end up happening because Dignitas didn't go, and E United became the world champions after 3-1-ing Rival. So
yeah, I actually agree with that as well, right? I agree with the same order of teams. Like you said, Obey's really just ahead of Energy right now because their changes are going to impact them less than Energy's changes are going to impact them, right? Like you said, Raffer was an integral part to how Energy played their game. Emilzi, while he's still an important part in the Obey machine, I think it's going to be a lot easier to switch out than a Raffer is going to be. Right, the main difference I see here is that I expect Energy to change the way they play overall, while I expect Obey to just fit Raffer into the system that they already have. And that should be a lot easier for them than it should be for Energy, which is why they're expected to be better at the start of the season. The Rival and Dig question is a bit of a contentious one, right? Do you go for the team that has basically improved continuously over the entire year and has managed to surpass Dignitas the last time they met? Or do you go for the team Dignitas that has stayed at the top on all but one occasion, right? Since the roster's basically formed. And
see, I think Dignitas is going to come into this season with something to prove. They're going to, for the lack of a better word, all 5 members are going to be pissed about how last season ended, and they're going to try to prove something. And I think that edge, that chip on their shoulder, is exactly what they're going to need to get off to a great start and get ahead of Rival, at least for this first split, and see what happens later on in the year. But never underestimate a player with something to prove in anything you do, like any sport you play, any game you play. Never underestimate the guy who has something to prove.
Yeah, I think that's part of what's going to make them scary is going to be their hunger coming into the season, right? Because the last time they played in this official capacity, they didn't do well at all, and they really have to show people that that was just an exception to the rule, and that the rule for Dignitas is still going to be that they're an amazing team, and I think they're going to be really looking to do that going into the season. And if they play to the top of their level, then I think not even a rival can beat them, right? So that's why I also have them in first place, obviously, and rival in second place. Despite rival being all of the things that you just said, being an amazing team, right? Making it to the finals of Worlds, beating amazing teams on the way there in the form of energy, and then losing in unfortunate circumstances to the United guys, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I would classify them as unfortunate circumstances because I'm not a part of Europe. But hey, whatever makes you feel better, buddy.
Hey, they lost the fire giant, man. I just won't get over it. If they had gotten that fire giant, they would have won that game, and it would have been at worst a 3-2 to United.
Wolfie gave them the fire giant. Okay.
Yeah. I'm still sad, man.
Enough shots at Wolfie.
Yeah, feels bad, man.
Let's flip the script over to North America and
yeah, the region that has one good team.
For now, we both are. We both said that we're we're looking forward to seeing Space Station and Counter Logic Gaming play with these new rosters. But so I'll start 6th place, 6th, 5th, and 4th. Since the roster hasn't been announced yet, and with the people that are left, I wouldn't really expect a whole lot. I would put LG. We're looking at right now a Luminosity Gaming roster of, and this is from what Reddit is predicting. So this is not final or anything, but it's looking like Vedium and Genocide from Cryptic last season are going to be the duo lane. Keeg's mate, who is an Xbox World Champion, will be playing mid for them. And then Weekend and Kiki will round out the solo and jungle. So that's looking like LG's newest roster for now. It actually makes a lot of sense with the people that are left. I'm not too familiar with Keeg's mate, but if he's a world champion in Xbox, I think he could at least play at a high level on PC because he knows the game well enough. Going on to 5th place. 5th place. Yeah. I got there. Obviously, there's 2 options here. I just got to figure out which one I'm putting that where.
I see you came prepared.
This one's hard, though. This one's a little tough.
Yeah, it is. So what do you have?
So we got Trifecta and Splice in these 5 and 4 spots. I'm going to put Splice 5th, even though I like the Splice roster better than I do the Trifecta roster. To me, Cyclone Spin and Hunter has to prove that they made the right decision, because Splice, their jungler now is Cynoshore and not Yuri anymore. So Cynoshore being the jungler now next to Divios, and then Aurora and the best in the mid. Cyclone Spin in the Hunter role is the only question mark we have about the team. And so for now, Splice is going to be 5th, and Trifecta will be my 4th place team. I think Trifecta has a good roster, though Matt Yankee in the mid didn't work out last year, so why it would work out this year, I don't know what they're thinking, but hey, go for it. If you think it's going to work, go for it. But for right now, since we know what we're getting from Trifecta in all of their roles, I'll put Trifecta 4th and Splice in 5th. But that's not to say that Splice will not end up like a very good team at the end of the year.
Yeah, so I have a similar situation here. My sixth place also going to be Luminosity because they just don't have a roster yet, and it doesn't really matter what they're going to be picking up, right? Unless they manage to surprise us hugely and somehow dig up players that we don't even know play the game anymore. Like, see if they brought in, what's his name, Gars and Boosh. And then 3 other guys that, yeah, maybe they could be good.
The Boosh ain't coming back.
Yeah.
The
Gars.
Yeah, the Gars is probably not coming back either.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they can convince Eonic to come out of retirement. But why would he do that? He chose to go to school instead of play Smite.
So yeah. See, the roster's going to be, obviously, Gars, Boosh, and Eonic, and then 2 other random guys. And that would be the one situation where it could be a team better than 6th place, right? But it's not going to be. They're just going to be in 6th place. For them to be better, it's going to need huge individual improvements from whatever players they do end up picking up. And so it's impossible to basically predict that they're going to be anything but 6th at the start of the season. Because at least Trifecta and Splice already have a standing roster right now. But as far as those 2 are concerned, I'm actually going to put Trifecta in 5th place. I think from what we've seen from this roster, right, Yankee in mid isn't going to be amazing. Scary in solo hasn't shown his sort of Worlds and Spring Split of Season 4 form in, well, as you can tell, almost a year now. So I'm not expecting too much out of him either. And I'm not expecting too much out of Yankee. And I think the parts that Splice has in their positions, right, in the best and Tibios, should be able to handle them fairly easily and should be able to use that advantage they gain there to make this team a better one in the head-to-head and also just overall. Because the thing is, even if Cyclone is an unproven player in the Hunter role, right, and we've seen him play it before for a short time where he wasn't bad at it and he also wasn't necessarily amazing at it, but at least competent, right? And when you compare this team player to player in every position but mid, you kind of have the Splice guys coming out ahead. You can argue that Mask is a better jungler than Sino. That's the one position where you can really argue about it. The rest is basically just the Splice, the Trifecta guys getting the short end of the stick.
See, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but like I said earlier, when it came to Snoopy, when we were talking about Snoopy and how much of an impact the Hunter role has, that's where I see Trifecta having the upper hand because they do have Zapman over Cyclone Spin, and at least for now, Zapman is the better Hunter. And so, as impactful as the Hunter is in Season 5, I think you can make the argument that for now, Trifecta is in a better position than Splice.
See, I think when you consider all the other positions, I don't think they are, right? And when you consider that Cyclone, that type of playstyle, right, where he is the playmaker on the team, which is going to be most likely the case in Season 5 now with him having the Hunter position, it's going to benefit him. It's going to benefit him still, right? Because that's how he played when he was at his peak level ever during the Season 2 performances, right? And even if it was a different role, the playstyle is going to be a bit similar. And I think he can do it. I think he is still going to be proficient in the late game as a Hunter and is going to stand up to a guy like Satman. And when he does, the rest of the team being better overall is just going to make the team better overall in general. So that's the main reason I'm putting Splice ahead, is because I don't think Satman being better than Cyclone can really make up for the rest of the team just being worse. And in my opinion, they are quite a lot worse in a lot of the positions. A lot of the other positions. So, yeah.
Well, we have our first disagreement for today, okay.
Yeah. Now, on to the top three that we have. I think we're also going to have a bit of a disagreement there as well. So, my third place is going to be at the newly announced roster that was CLG. Like we already talked about it, right? How they have great potential. I just want to see them realize it a bit first, and I want to see how they can actually perform. And the other bigger reason why I'm only putting them at that in third place is because of the Space Station roster that I'm putting ahead of them at second place. Because they are looking really good, right? Even if Andy takes some time to settle into the role, I think the rest of the players that they have around can be extremely good, right? Especially Baskin is probably one of the best players in the world right now. And Barracuda, one of the best hunters in the world. Jeff Hindler, one of the best supports in the world. This is a team that is still amazing, and when you look at it from a position-to-position basis, they are a bit better than the CLG roster overall. And yeah. And they already have a lot of pre-existing synergy, right? It's not just that you have three guys from the old Luminosity roster staying on in Barracuda, Chef, and Baskin. You also, well, it's actually four guys, because Aquarius was on there as well. And they already have synergy with Aninster, right? The three of them. Only Aquarius doesn't have it, right? And then for first place, obviously, has got to be United. They were amazing at Worlds. They have really stepped it up as a team. That's why they won the damn thing. And I'm expecting them to be just as amazing in Season 5. And that can't put them in any other position than first place for NA right now.
Yeah, you were right when you said that we were going to have a little bit of disagreement. We do have a disagreement at 3 and 2. So, obviously, my third place team will be that Space Station Gaming team. Not to say that I don't absolutely love the roster, because, you know, the Cloud9 roster from Season 2 is pretty much back. MLC Stealth is no longer an option because he's working for Hi-Rez now. So there goes any hope of him, you know, unless he comes out of retirement and quits his job at Hi-Rez, and why would you do that? Because, you know, you're getting a steady paycheck and you have a kid now. So stay there. But, yeah, Space Station Gaming, for me, I think has a great upside with the roster that it has. I think, you know, Barracuda and Jeff together forever. Like, yeah, love at first sight thing. That's you know, that we pretty much know what we're going to get from them, so we can't place them any lower than they are right now. Baskin has proven he's one of the best mid laners in all of North America. He's one of the best mechanical players in all of Smite. So there's he could probably play any position and do amazing at it. So yeah, not Herwin. God, why did I say Herwin? Annister in the jungle, coming back from the jungle. I think, obviously, I said it earlier, he's going to struggle for a week or two at that professional, you know, competitive level, getting back into the swing of things and how important that role is in the jungle. But, yeah, him being in jungle is something we know of, something we know a lot about. He's really good at it. He's again, with Baskin, he's one of the best mechanical players in the world. So the writing is on the wall for the team to do amazing. Aquarius, I've been high on Aquarius since he first joined the league with that dismal, absolutely terrible Flashpoint team he was on. But you know, he has continued to get better and better and better. And you know, it's an awesome roster. The only thing I see not the only reason I put Counter Logic Gaming ahead of them for is Final K. Final K is obviously, in my opinion, the second best solo laner in North America. The pressure that he brings, what he did to the Space Station Gaming roster in the fall when it was Jigs, and yeah, that whole that whole fun Hercules montage that he had in that one game against Space Station. Yeah, he's obviously the second best solo laner in the world right now, or second best solo laner in North America, not the world.
Yeah,
I misspoke. I misspoke. My bad.
it's fine.
I just think the rosters match up fairly well, but if I'm going to put one over the other, I'm taking Final K almost every time over Aquarius. Like I said, I love Aquarius. I love what he can do. I just think Final K is better, just a slightly bit better. And so if the other four, if the other four are coin toss and it comes down to Aquarius and Final K, I'm taking Final K. So Counter Logic Gaming gets the nod in that area, and that's why it makes them number 2 instead of number 3.
Yeah, but see, my thing is, right, I'm not saying that it's a coin toss between the other 4 guys, right? That's one of my first points is going to be that. And the other point is going to be, I think the difference between Aquarius and Fine is not that big, right? I think every solo laner behind obviously Benji and NA is playing on a very similar level right now. And with that, I think the difference in other roles are way bigger. I think Baskin is, like I said, I think he's one of the best players in NA right now, just period. Not even in his specific role, right? The way he dominates games as a mid laner, or the way he used to dominate them in Season 4, was insane. If he does anything like it again, right? Like his performances against Energy, where he was the only guy in the game 1 that they had against Energy doing anything really on the LG team. If he is able to do that, he's going to be way more impactful than Hurrywind.
See, I agree with you. I agree with that wholeheartedly. My one exception to that is Hurrywind has proven to be flexible and highly capable of adjusting from game to game. That if in a best of 3 set against CLG and Space Station, I'm not sure that Hurwind's going to be all that far behind Baskin, because he has shown the ability to make changes on the fly. And
see, I don't think it comes down. I don't think it comes down to their individual matchup between the two of them, right? I think it comes down to Baskin just having a massive impact on the game as a whole. And there's nothing, I don't think there's much you can do to stop him from doing that.
I agree. If Baskin goes off and he controls the games like he did in Season 4, that's a scary situation. But Hurwin has shown the ability to affect the game in other ways and, still be impactful from a damage standpoint from that mid lane position. I just think, yes, Baskin is mechanically one of the best players in the world. There's no question about that. I just think Hurwin is a smart mid laner and a more than capable mid laner matching up with Baskin.
Yeah, I think Hurry's great at keeping himself in the game, right? That's a thing he does very well at, is staying relevant. What I think the issue is going to be is within the mid role specifically, because it's less of a 1v1 matchup, right? It's not just about staying relevant, it's about also keeping the other mid laner from becoming far too relevant, right? And just winning fights basically on his own. And I think Baskin's the type of player that's going to do that. And yeah, you don't even need a good mid laner to shut him down in that regard, right? Because it's not about the mid laner in that situation, it's about the entire team. The entire team needs to be capable enough to shut down a guy like Baskin, or to outplay everyone else on the other team enough that it doesn't matter if Baskin's getting a double kill every single fight, right? Because you're still wiping the other team completely off the face of the planet and still winning the fights. And I don't think that the CLG roster is going to be able to do that to the Space Station roster, right? I think you had a very different situation at Worlds when you had Energy facing this DLG roster that's basically the same as this one, right? Because the individual players on Energy are extremely good, and they can manage to beat the other guys on the roster quite heavily. I don't think that's the case between Space Station and CLG, and that's why I think Baskin having as much of an impact as he had in Season 4 is going to be the game changer between those two teams specifically, and also in their matchups against other worse teams, right? You can lose to a team if you're CLG and Snoopy has an off game, right? Baskin doesn't really have off games. That's the thing. So it's hard for any other team to really shut out the Space Station roster, just because Baskin's gonna be mad.
Okay, we started an argument here, and I haven't even finished my power rankings yet.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you some time now to just gloat over how good of a roster United are.
I really don't have to gloat. All I gotta say is the world champions, and they're world champions for a reason.
That is already gloating.
If for a team that only dropped games to 2 teams for the entirety of the fall split, and one of those being the LG team, and then not dropping another game until finals against rival. Like, you do realize the only 2 teams to beat a United during the fall split were rival and LG.
Well, I do now.
The only 2 teams to do it, and they still embarrassed both of those teams, for lack of better words. Yeah.
You have very different memories of that final set than I do.
Final set, it was still 3-1, and yeah, it wasn't as dominating as they did when they beat LG, but hey, they still only dropped 1 game to rival. So they dominated that as far as wins and losses go. So, yeah, best team in the world right now. Obviously, they're world champions. We can't make an argument against them because Dignitas didn't show up for Worlds.
Yeah.
So right now, the argument is moot. Like, EU is the best, or EU United is the best team in the world. And so, of course, they're on top of NA for me right now. I mean, no roster changes. Benji's still doing his thing. Maybe, I will back off a little bit and say Benji is one of the 2 best solo laners in the world, and not just the best solo laner in the world, because I will respect Deathwalker and what he was able to do in that final set. And then, of course, no other roster changes. Venenu's MVP of Worlds. He played really well throughout that entire tournament and at Super Regionals. He was one of the great players throughout that whole 2-month period. Panda Cat, obviously, very, very impactful from the Hunter row. Polar Bear Mike being the leader of it all, and just Barizio or Scream or whatever he's changing his name to now. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait till Wednesday to see, because I don't know if they play on Wednesday or not. But that's the first NA day of the season, so we'll have to see what he's calling himself then. But yeah, Barizio being as impactful across the map as he is, like, who would have thought, who other than DJ Pernicus would have brought out Bastet at Worlds when Bastet was considered irrelevant? Like, one of the, you didn't want to play Bastet because she wasn't very good, and he brings them out at Worlds and dominates with her. So who else does that? Like, nobody.
Yeah, it's pretty mad.
So yeah, best team in the world right now, world champions, easily confirmed. Like, I would love to see a international set between them and Dignitas to see who really is the best team in the world. But hey, right now, again, Dignitas didn't make it to Worlds. EU United raised the hammer, so there's no debate right now.
Yeah, and I mean, just like, they didn't even need to be the best team in the world to be the best team in NA, in my opinion. Right, because the rest of the competition in NA, as we saw at Worlds again, and as we saw in the season before, they weren't up to par to the EU teams. Only really EU United managed to do that, and yeah, even if they weren't the best team in the world, even if Dignitas beats them in the LAN finals of the spring finals LAN, they're still going to be the best team in NA, just because they are amazing, and the rest of NA is good but not amazing, right? So yeah, just wanted to get that dig in as well. By the way.
Yeah, I think United is easily the best team in North America. I think the competition is a little bit more stiffer than it has been in the past with the Counter Logic Gaming and Space Station. So yeah, it's. I think right now NA, for the argument's sake, NA is only EU United, but by the end of the split, you might be talking more about, more than just about EU United as being a North American powerhouse. I think I've certainly Counter Logic Gaming and Space Station have that potential as well, but they haven't yet shown it. And obviously for Counter Logic, we haven't even seen them play a game together. But yeah, so the other two teams in North America that are at the top three haven't yet shown their ability to dominate people like Obey. I had to get that one in there too.
Yeah,
because even if you said that finals matchup against Ravel wasn't a dominant performance, I think we can all agree that semifinals matchup against Obey was a dominant performance.
Yeah, I blame the Osiris.
I do too. I will give you that. I blame the Osiris as well.
Yeah, nah, like no excuses for that. They just look completely flat Obey in that game, and that's it. So yeah. But yeah, Dig wasn't there. Dig could have done things differently, but you have to qualify first to actually get to the World Championship.
Yeah,
So,
it would also be interesting to see Benji 4v1 Dignitas and see how that turned out, because he actually did it like 3 times at Worlds. He did it once, or no, he did it twice against Obey and then once against their first round opponent, Black Dragons.
Yeah. Well, it's Benji stuff, right? He just got to do it every game, I guess.
Well, when you have guys like Benji and Verizio putting Benji 4 or 5 levels ahead of everybody else on the map, I think he can do that.
Man, Benji's just one scary motherfucker.
He's scary on his own, but putting with a jungler that's sole purpose is to put him ahead, that's even scarier.
Yeah, well, he's definitely more scary if he's ahead by 3 levels. Yeah, that is something I will agree with, man. So yeah, those are our rankings. We've got, just to recap real quick, maybe I've already forgot them, to be honest.
Well, we have the same 6 in EU.
Yeah, let's go over just to recap real quick. For both of us, number 6 team in EU is going to be Mouse Sports. Number 5, SK Gaming. Number 4, Energy for the moment. Number 3, Obey, probably also for the moment. Number 2, Rival, and number 1, Dignitas. So same story there for the both of us. And in NA, why don't you present that?
So NA, we differ a little bit. Our 6th place team, we obviously both have LG because they haven't announced the roster yet. We differed on the next 2 matchups, or the next 2 teams. I had Splice in 5th, where you had Trifecta in 5th, and then vice versa for 4th. I had Trifecta for 4th, and Roby had Splice for 4th. Disagreement there. So we kept going after that, and the disagreements continued, but the teams are pretty much still the same. Where he had Counter Logic Gaming in 3rd, I had Space Station Gaming in 3rd. And then flip that for number 2, where I had Counter Logic Gaming in number 2, and you had Space Station Gaming for number 2. And then to wrap that all up, put a nice little bow on it, World Champions, best team in the world, A United on top of North America. That's how we saw it, how we see it shaping up, at least for the first. I want to say the first half of this spring split. We'll have to, we might have to reevaluate before the second round because each team faces another team twice. It's not just a best of 3, but it's 2 best of 3 this time. Yeah. We might have to reevaluate after that first best of 3 before they start the second best of 3s.
Yeah, and I want to ask you something as well real quick. Do you think that's what the rankings are going to look like at the end of the split? As of right now.
As of right now, at the start of it, I expect Energy to be in the top 3 in Europe, and then in North America. I see Splice moving up ahead of Trifecta for me because, yeah, Cyclone Spin should settle into the role nicely, and he should prove himself in that role.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think for me, it's basically how the same thing I'd predict, right? I think Energy has a decent shot at least taking first spot towards the end of the split, and the only thing that where we differ in that regard then is just Space Station and CLG having their spots reversed, right? But yeah, that is all.
It's going to be an interesting split, to say the least.
Yeah, certainly. So again, starting Tuesday at 20th of March at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I think. Is that right?
Yes, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Which should be a 6 p.m. Central European time. So yeah, tune in then to watch the SPL on Mixer. And that is all we have to say really for today. Or do you have anything else you want to throw in before we close it off?
Happy birthday, Smite. I mean, we got this birthday event going on right now in game, so hey.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's my birthday tomorrow, by the way.
Have a happy birthday, Mr. Dogshit Container.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. Anyway, that was it from this Divinity short. Thank you all for watching.
Real quick, let's tell everybody how old you're going to be.
What?
12 years old.
Wait, how old I am?
Yeah, let's tell everybody how old you're going to be tomorrow.
At 22.
Okay, so I was off by 10 years, but hey, there we go.
It's close. I mean, in my head, I'm like a 12-year-old. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, that was it from this Divinity short. Thank you all for watching. If you have anything to say, comment. If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. So yeah, again, thank you for being here as well, Sabo. And that was it from this week.
Welcome.
Bye.
Good night and good smite.
Good night, good smite. Yeah, fuck, I forgot that. I'm an idiot. And with that, I'm closing it off.